Good evening, everyone, and maybe good morning as well. All right, first off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitting masters, and everyone here today for the opportunity to continue talking about this 4 courses of Tao cultivation. Last week we kind of just we only talked about the first one, which is moral character. Completed. So the fact that it took up the whole time is basically it's probably the most important. It's like the base, the essence, if you will, of our cultivation. We have to have this moral character. Okay, so that's like the foundation. You can say it's not by itself, but it's like one of the foundations for our cultivations. Obviously, we have to include the other ones. Okay, so today, I hope we can finish the rest of this. Okay, so today we're starting talking about virtues and merits. Again, these are, these bullet points are basically holy teachers' words, except for some of these things I added in here. But okay, so here, so what true merit is when we sincerely benefit others without selfish motive. Okay, so it is true merit only when we are not attached to it. If we count how many merits we are getting, then we have no merits. Right, the merits come from the significance of benefiting others without any attachment, conditions, or motive in mind. Okay, so the key here, very important, is that we can't be attached to any kind of merit, and we can't be thinking about, oh, I'm doing merit, I'm doing, right. So we should not be saying, oh, I'm going to be getting merits from doing this, whatever good deeds, and then we shouldn't be saying that. And also, after the deed is done, we shouldn't be attached to say, oh, yeah, start basically, where you can tell if we're attached, saying, oh, we start telling other people, oh, look, I did these good deeds, or you expect some kind of recognition or things like that. So that's all attachment. Or even if it's not external, if it's internal in our mind, if we still think about it, hey, yeah, I keep thinking about, oh, I did these good deeds, then again, what it's saying here is that it's no longer it's not true merit anymore. Okay, so the merits come from the significance of benefiting others without any attachments, conditions, or motives. So it's like there's no conditions, no strings attached. So an example, or maybe the contra example or the counter example is about Emperor Liang Wudi. Right. Now he, at the time, Buddhism was kind of, had already spread in China. And so the Emperor of the Liang dynasty, so he was very supportive of the religion and the practice. And so he built all these temples, monasteries, supported the Sangha, the monks. He gave a lot, did a lot of giving, charity, right, to support Buddhism, and even like had these vegetarian banquets for the monks and people. So Bodhidharma at that time, when he came to China, it was during this Emperor Liang Wudi's time. And so Bodhidharma thought he could actually, because he had heard about this emperor, he's very supportive of Buddhism. So, he thought he could maybe pass the patriarch, the mandate to this emperor. But when he met the emperor said, wow, look at all this I've done, for Buddhism, for the monks, for the practice, everything. So how much, or what kind of merit and virtue do I have? Do I get from all this? And so Bodhidharma, that was like the wrong question, really. So the Bodhidharma just said, you have no merit. So obviously the emperor was not too pleased hearing that. But so Bodhidharma then realized that, well, this emperor, he's not enlightened. He's still attached to these thinking that he has merits. And so that's kind of an example of, why. So actually today, or recently, I hear, I'm hearing, people saying, oh yeah, now look, heaven is very merciful. There's double the merit now. Unfortunately, I think if Bodhidharma was here today, he would say there is no merit. So I think we have to be careful, actually it's not helpful to talk about, oh, how many merits. That's not for us. We have no idea. Okay. Heaven decides on the merits. And the merits, again, it's all relative. Okay. So, if one person donates $10, another person donates $10, you might, from our point of view, we say, oh, the merit is equal, but it's not. It depends. Depends on, again, like what it's saying here, it depends on whether we have a true heart and mind. Okay. So, and whether we have an attachment and all that. So, for us to talk about merits, oh, how many merits can you get? And then, you need this many merits to overcome certain karma. We shouldn't talk about these things. Okay. So, again, we fall into that trap of attachment to merits. Attachment to basically any kind of these forms. Okay. So that's not good. Okay. So, so Tao cultivation and practice is in the invisible field of our hearts and minds. True merit and virtue is the result of doing things from the true heart. Okay. So again, it's doing it, you can say, sometimes we say, we do say from the true heart, or we might say, let's see, just doing the right thing. Okay, we just do it because it's the right thing. In other words, there's no other motivation or motive or anything that we want out of it. Okay, so it's just that it's the right thing to do. Okay, so all right. Now, let's see. Okay, so yeah, I want to mention here that, the sixth patriarch, he says, to see the true nature is merit, okay, and then equanimity is virtue. Now, so this is kind of, because normally we think of merit as being external, right, the things that we do externally, and then virtue is internal, but this is kind of like the opposite. Where he's talking about the merit is internal and the virtue is external. But it's one and the same. They're one. We as humans, the way we analyze things and we look at things, we say, oh, there's internal and there's external. But it's all one. It's all, there's no internal, external. Okay. When the patriarch or, a Buddha is talking about it, it's all one. Okay. They don't really distinguish internal, external. But if you want to say, you can break it down this way, that merit in this, what sixth patriarch is saying is that merit is the essence, and then the virtue is the function. In other words, the manifestation or the putting that, essence, which is our true nature, the Buddha nature, and then applying it. Okay. All right. So that is kind of the meaning here. But ultimately, yeah, we say, we perform merits. So to see our true nature is to realize our true nature, to understand our true nature, and to actually, we follow, right? We practice, according to our true nature. If we can do that, then of course, everything that we do is true merit, right? And so, and then the virtue, the equanimity is virtue. So we have to realize also that we cannot have any kind of biases or any kind of prejudices or any kind of attachments, then it's no longer this equanimity. Okay, equanimity is, everything is equal and treat everything equally. So we do things. So even though, let's say, in terms of, we're talking about merits, I can do a deed, perform a deed that maybe it's only relatively little merit compared to another deed, but you would still do them equally. I mean, you're not going to say, because this particular, let's say cleaning the toilet has a lot of merit, then I'm going to focus on cleaning the toilet. Okay. So then that's, again, we're picking and choosing where it's not treating everything equally. So we have to treat everything equally. So once we're coming from that point of view, from that perspective or that mindset, then we are like, then we're kind of like a Buddha, and we are doing things accordingly. Okay. So this is very important. Okay. In understanding and when we are trying to cultivate, these virtues, merits, right? Okay. So, faith is the origin of Tao and foundation of virtues. The origin of Tao means the true nature. The foundation of virtues explained in the Sixth Patriarch Platform Sutra is that realizing the true nature is merit. Okay, so here it is. So everything we do based on our pure and peaceful heart without motive is merit and virtue. Okay. Okay, so here I have I mentioned equal universal wisdom. Okay, so previously in the previous section about the moral character, I mentioned there are three other wisdoms. So this is like the fourth. And the equal universal wisdom, how do we get that? Is transforming our seventh consciousness. Seventh consciousness is the manas, consciousness. I mean, that's the six, right? The first five are the five of the physical senses, and basically the sixth is from the mind sense, the mind, conscious, the human, that consciousness, which is our normal consciousness, and then the seventh is kind of a little bit more deeper. This is the one that does the analyzing, and it's more deeper consciousness. But okay, so if we can transform this into this equal universal wisdom, right? Equal universal wisdom. So that's you can say equanimity. Okay, viewing everything as equals. So how do we achieve that? Through understanding and practice of the Four Normals. Four Normals is basically what was described by the Buddha. In the at the beginning of the Diamond Sutra, right? So he just basically demonstrating the Four Normal in cultivation. I mean, the Tao. He's demonstrating the Tao in daily life, and so basically, whatever the things that are that are commonplace, things that it's not really, something too special, and then the things that are regular or routine. Okay, so the commonplace things, so routine things, and then third is the kind of what you might call what's genuine or natural. Okay, so it's coming from that true nature, basically, and then the fourth is what's plain and simple. Okay, so we need to apply this in our lives. So we don't need to seek out special recognition or special powers or special anything. We don't have to be special in those senses. Those are kind of in the mundane world. People seek those things because then they're special. But we don't need to do that. Okay. We shouldn't do that, okay, to really cultivate. And then this fourfold stage of mindfulness, which, saying that basically our mind is impermanent, realizing that our mind is impermanent. All sensation, through basically the five skandhas, right, through our senses, it's basically suffering, or you can say leads to suffering. The dharmas are empty of that true self, okay, so that's anatta, right? So, dharmas, you can say, are, yeah, you can say dharmas, or dharmas could, in this case also, I think it also means all phenomena, basically. And then the body is impure as well. So that, the idea of these is to, kind of have this, not be attached to these things. Okay, so, we should definitely not be too attached to our body. Even though, yes, we do need to use the body. I mean, we have this life, and life needs to be cherished. But ultimately, we have to let it go. But, I mean, I think, but yeah, so don't treat the body as if, oh, wow, it's this so precious thing. I mean, it is precious. Life is precious, but okay. All right. So, and then the 4 propositions, which, yeah, these are kind of like these different, like philosophical views, I guess, of existence, non-existence, and whether it's both or neither, like for example, applied to, our, they're asking about like the soul, for example. These are, you can say they are kind of like, I don't know, like extreme views, maybe. But these, we can't really say like for our true nature, it's like, doesn't really apply. We can't like, this is like pigeonholing, categorizing, saying, oh, what the true nature is like, is it one of these? And we can't really say it's just one of these, okay? So, all right, and then, so we need to eliminate, the 5 keen or sharp views, right? That's basically the ego, which can be overcome by, profound divine observing wisdom, right? So that's what we talked about before. Extreme views can be overcome by equal universal wisdom. Okay, so that's actually this wisdom that we're talking about here. Rigid views can be overcome by perfection of context wisdom. Deviant views can be overcome by great mirror wisdom. And stubborn, perverted views can be overcome by Amala wisdom, or wisdom of the embodied nature of the Dharmadhatu, which is the true reality. Okay, and then 5, getting rid of the 5 dull vices, which is greed, the 3 poisons, basically greed, anger, ignorance, or delusion, including, and then also arrogance and doubt. Okay, having doubt. And then the 10 worlds. 10 worlds refers to, basically, it's the past, present, and future, in the past, present, the past, present, and future mind. Okay, so we have this mind. Remember the 3 minds, we dwelling in the past, present, and future. And then so, but this is applied to our past lives, present lives, and future lives. And then it's also, I guess, the 10th would be you can say the current mind. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So, I want to mention again about why I mentioned these wisdom here. Cultivating, because if we cultivate wisdom without cultivating merit, that results in, you basically don't have any achievement. Okay, so you're cultivating wisdom, but you're not really doing anything. And that's, yeah, even though you might say, oh, I can just sit there and meditate and kind of maybe develop my wisdom, bring out my wisdom. But if that's all you do, just meditate, you don't do anything, you have no merit, then there is no achievement. Okay, so that you cannot become a Buddha that way, right? But on the other hand, cultivating merit without wisdom, that results in just getting blessings or karmic blessings. And so there's no way to transcend life and death. You're still stuck in this cycle of reincarnation because what you're getting is not true merit, but blessings, okay, karmic blessings, which are paid back in this cycle of life and death. Okay, so that's why we need to have both wisdom and, we have to cultivate or nurture our wisdom and also cultivate merits. Okay. And then, actually merits and virtues, I would say are basically, ultimately they are equivalent. Okay. It's just like I was saying earlier that it's one. It's not like one, one is internal, external. I mean, it's really, ultimately it's one and the same. Okay. All right. right, so inner merit is the cultivation of our heart and mind. Do we understand our heart and mind? Do we know our bad habits and temper? We must have a heart and mind of calmness and composure, or else lots of bad things will happen. Right, the external merit starts from understanding the heart from within. If we do things voluntarily, then we will have merits, and we are worthy of being virtuous. So this, I guess, kind of like relates to what we were saying, that what Sixth Patriarch is saying, that, the merit's internal, but it starts from the inside, and it gets, when put into practice, then we talk about that, the external side of it, but it starts from the inside. Okay, so it has to start from the understanding of the heart from within, or the true mind, or the true heart. Okay. All right. And then so merits. We have to be composed. I mean, if we have this temperament, bad habits, temperament, that can affect whether we're actually, what we're doing is actually true merits. Okay, so that's why, again, it starts from the inside. We have to make sure that everything is proper and true inside, so that what we perform on the outside is true merit. Okay, so merits and virtues are in the heart of equality, right? Or you can say equanimity, in the heart of mercy, in the heart of compassion for sentient beings, right? So again, with that mindset of equanimity, then all sentient beings are one. We are one with all sentient beings, and therefore we should definitely have compassion and mercy for all sentient beings. Right? Okay. All right. So now true merit is, true merit. Okay. So true merit is when we offer ourselves, it could be time, it could be effort, to sentient beings with the heart of a bodhisattva, and do what the Tao community needs without having thoughts of what has more or less merits. Okay, so I just mentioned that earlier. So I don't think about which one has more merit, then you just do that, and you don't want to do the things that have little merit. It is our duty to share our experiences with others. This is a type of encouragement and assistance. To encourage and assist sentient beings is the duty and merits of all disciples of Jigong Living Buddha. Okay, so again, Jigong Living Buddha, his mission in this white era is to try to bring salvation, if you will, to sentient beings. Okay, save the sentient beings, and so, but he's a Buddha. He can't do that all by himself. I mean, he's no longer, as the 18th Patriarch, he was with us in this world, but now he's not in this world physically. Although spiritually, of course, he's still with us. But he depends on us, okay, each of us, his disciples, to help other sentient beings, okay? And so that's our duty. And so, we want to try to encourage and assist sentient beings as much as possible. Sharing joy in others' success means everybody is good and happy, all united in a cheerful spirit, right, as basic merit. If our existence or presence adds cheer, joy to the Tao atmosphere, right? So we say, being a part of, let's say, attending a class, or, not necessarily as a class member, but if we, let's say we've already taken the class before, but then we attended. Now, obviously, maybe we don't feel that as much when we have this online class. We don't see each other. We don't feel each other's presence necessarily. But like when everyone is together in the same place, in the temple, then there's like, it adds to that what we call this Tao atmosphere. I don't know, I say Tao atmosphere. Okay, so, you can say this energy of the place. Okay. And so So even though it's like, oh, I've heard these things before. Well, but if we attend it and we kind of lend our support, if you will, and bring and be helpful, right? And be cheerful with our presence, then, hey, then we've got, you could say that that's also a basic merit. Okay. So that's what Holy Teacher is saying. So it's, so that's the thing. So, whether it's a class or other, other kind of activity, that's why this is, we always encourage, the Tao members to come and, you can say support, lend their presence, to kind of increase that Tao energy, that Tao atmosphere. Okay. All right. So, when we have thoughts, they can be either merits or faults, heaven or hell, right? So, we have to be careful with our thoughts. We have to elevate ourselves. True merit is obtained by calming and purifying our heart and mind, not necessarily by the number of good things we have done. All right. True merit is in the perfection of our true nature. So here it's, again, now it's pointing to that the merit is internal. Okay. And if we can perfect ourselves to follow, to be one, you can say, be one with our true nature, the Buddha nature, then of course, everything we do will be true merit. Okay. And so, but we have to be careful in our mind. If we have complaints, if we have not grudges, but, if we are reluctant to do things, that we should do, these are the things that prevent us from actually getting real merit, true merit. Okay, so, there's a saying that heaven and hell, it's in the mind. Okay, the difference is between a single thought, the difference between heaven and hell. So it depends on what we want. And you can say it's also the difference between having merit and no merit. Okay, so it's all in the mind. It could be in one thought, right? So we have to be very careful. That's why we have to be part of the cultivation practice. We have to be very mindful, right? When we do things with complaints, then we have not obtained any merits and virtues. Merits and virtues come from a mind of equality. We can do more with a merciful heart and do well the things that nobody else wants to do. If we are willing to do it, then it should not matter why others refuse to do it, right? Without complaints and without guilt, then we are free from regrets and we will have merits and virtues. Okay, so again, those complaints, who cares, why other people are not doing these things? If we see that something needs to be done, we should do it. If even no one else is doing it. Okay. In fact, not to talk about merits, but there's actually, if I think I may have mentioned this before, but, the things that people don't want to do and, and we do it, then there's more merit to that. But again, that's kind of falling into that attachment to merit thing, so we shouldn't think of that way. It's just that it needs to be done. Okay. It's just something that needs to be done. And we see that no one else is doing it, so we should do it. Okay. And unfortunately, I see in the temple that, people just aren't aware, I guess. They just aren't aware that things need to be done, what needs to be done. Even basic stuff like cleaning. It's like, they just walk past this things that are dirty and they don't think about, it should be cleaned. Or they think that maybe other people should clean it. So again, that's not, we should be aware. Okay. We should always be aware. Okay. So even the minutest of our actions, demeanor, words, and smile can accumulate merits. Yeah. So even a smile, when we're smiling, obviously not smiling by ourselves, but smiling to other people. Okay. So, then those are, little merits. Of course, we shouldn't be thinking again, say, if I smile, then I get merits. So then I force myself to smile. That's no merit there. Okay. There's no merit. All right. Virtues are everywhere like the Tao. Practicing and cultivating Tao is in the minute details of the principles of our behavior. we have an account in heaven and are saving invisible money, right? So this is accumulating merits and virtues, basically. We don't have to be in the temple to do this, right? If we genuinely praise someone, provide expediency to somebody, do someone a little favor, or giving them hope, this is accumulating merits and virtues. So every little thing can count. Again, it all depends on whether it's coming from that true heart or not, or whether we have some kind of motive or other thoughts, other things, attachments to it. Okay, so just, what I said earlier about everything is relative, right? So there's a story of, this story actually is kind of in the various teachings of different religions. They all pretty much have the same story. Basically, like in Buddha's time, right? They were collecting, or people were donating, for oil lamps, right? Lamps, but there's, some people, wow, they're very rich merchants. They're donating all these like gold, maybe gold lamps, things like that. Okay, so very expensive stuff. And then this old lady, she really didn't have much. I mean, in fact, she didn't even have a wick for her lamp. Okay, so she just cut off some hair and used that as the wick. And so, and then when they offered, and then of course they light all the lamps, and overnight, this wind picked up and it blew out all the lamps except for hers. Okay, so and then so they asked Buddha, how come her lamp remained lit and the other ones didn't? And Buddha says, well, she did it out of a true heart, and so. And then obviously it is relative to her situation. She didn't have anything to get, and she had to use her hair as the wick for the lamp. And so that's her whole heart she put into it. Okay. And so that's why she had, we're going to talk about merit, that she had true merit there. Whereas the others probably may not have, and also you can say that that's also her true virtue as well. And so that's why her lamp remained lit. Okay. All right. So humanity is the foundation for Tao cultivation. Devoting all our time in the temple without doing anything for our families misses the basics. All right. Settling family affairs harmoniously and amicably can have a great influence on our family. There is boundless merit in this because each family member is Buddha. Okay. So, the Tao cultivation is not in the temple. It's not like, I have to spend all my time in the temple. Actually, that's only part of it. And we can't ignore our other responsibilities in life, right? We can't say, not work, or not go to school, or not take care of my family, and then just spend all my time. That's the way it was in the Red era, right? The monks, basically, people who kind of left home to cultivate, right? But today it's not like that. Today it's a balance. It's a balance that we have to basically, in any kind of responsibility or duties that we have to fulfill those, and we should do it harmoniously. Okay. And that is really the key to the cultivation. So this, kind of goes back to the Four Normals. It's like, we don't go to the extreme in cultivating, in any particular way, or, we do it in everyday life. Okay. So that is really one of the foundations. So we cannot ignore the family. I know, there are many families where maybe only one member is really cultivating, you could say, and they come to the temple, but the rest of the family does not. It's a difficult situation to be in, I guess. But ultimately, what matters is that, because if you spend all your time at the temple and you ignore the family, basically, how are they going to view that? They're going to view, the family members are going to view us as, well, looks like you're not, I mean, they'll see that they're not, you're not fulfilling your duties, family duties. So we have to, and so there's no way for us then to, transform them. Okay. So, we think we're enlightened or cultivating, but, not from their point of view. Okay. So, there's no way to transform them into following, this, guide them towards the right path of cultivation. So we have to look at this and try to do have a balance. Okay. So donating money does not necessarily have merits, right? Someone who donates with a selfish motive does not obtain merits, right? In contrast, someone who may not donate as much but has sincerity that touches heaven will have merits. The true meaning of giving is not in the amount of our donation, but in having a sincere and true heart when we are giving. So again, relating back to that story, where that old lady gave because she had a very sincere heart. Okay. So, and obviously there's nothing selfish that, not seeking any kind of recognition or anything like that. So that's really the key. So that's why it's internal. We say that the foundation of merit is internal. Okay. When we give, it is like transferring a flower from our left hand to our right hand. Right? The flower is still in our hands. The more we give to others, the broader our heart will be. This is the true meaning of giving. So, we think that, we gave and, I am now, I don't have that thing anymore. Okay. But actually, the material thing, or it could be anything. I mean, that we give, but we gain something still. I mean, so that made up for that loss, if you want to think of it that way. But we really actually, we didn't lose anything. Okay. So by giving, it's basically, we can just give all we want. We can keep giving and we never will be in lack of something. Okay. So we will always have, in other words, we will have merit, at least. So that there's nothing lost in the giving. Okay. We have to have a different kind of view of things. Don't just look at the material side of things. Okay. We can't just look at it from the material view. Okay. Giving and donating is not limited to money. Okay. No matter what kind of giving or how much we give, the best kind is to give with a sincere and true heart. Again. Okay. So again, it's not the what or the type of things that we give, but again, it has to come from that sincerity, having a true heart. Okay. So without motive, right? All these things. Right? Okay. So Buddha does not want our money, right? What is Buddha going to do with our money? All our donations and sharing of the Dharma is to fulfill our vows. Okay. Realize that we have vows that we have to fulfill. And well, not just the vows, I guess you can say, by doing, that's part of it, but doing, performing merits, for example, we always say that we have to have merits to pay off our karmic debts, right? So that's the other half of it, you can say, is that we have karmic debts that we need to pay off. And so that one way, really the only way, the way that the preferred way is through merits, okay, and virtues. All right, we will have merits if we make donations to establish a temple to help transform the world. Okay, but make donations according to our ability. There's a saying, take care of ourselves before anything else. Okay, so again, it's not like, I have to give everything and then, I end up, homeless, or something like that. It's according to our ability. It's not, no one's saying that you have to give so much or whatever. It's again, whatever we can give, we do, but, we still have to make sure we take care of ourselves as well. Okay. That's not being selfish. It's, no one says that we have to give up everything. Okay. So, right. Okay. So we should not compare our donations with others. Yeah. That's an important thing too. It is all relative and done according to our ability. The key is having true sincerity and dedication from our heart. It's like I said earlier, two people who make the same amount of donation, we can't compare it. We should not compare the two. Or, if they make different amounts, we can't compare them either. Again, it's all depends on the inside, what's in our heart and mind, really. Okay. So, so that's why, it's not, I don't like it when, well, we shouldn't like them dislike, but, when I hear that, certain, it's like there's this competition. It's like, but then, when you get into that, then it's no longer, I think it's no longer true merit. Okay. All right. So humans stand upright, whereas animals typically have their backs toward heaven. We should perform real donations of the body. All right. Set a good example with our conduct and give others a helping hand. That's the body. And then the heart is to keep a pure, righteous, undefiled heart and mind and do things with sincerity. Okay, so again, that's kind of the key, right? Sincerity is the core of our being, right? That's whether we are being genuine, being true to being genuine, or being faithful to our true nature. Okay, so the mouth, we can say encouraging and positive words and say things in accordance with the truth. And the face, okay, is our appearance, right? A smile can bring happiness and joy to others and ourselves. All right, so, we are different from animals. Animals do have that same essence, okay? So that's why we have to treat them with respect as well. But animals cannot do a lot of things that we can do, okay? And you can say, here it says the animals typically have their backs toward heaven, meaning that they've done some bad things previously, that they've turned their back to heaven, and so this is kind of their karma. But as humans, though, so that's why being as a human is very precious, okay? And we can do things, we can perform merits, we can establish our virtues, we can become Buddhas, we can transcend life and death, and that is why it's so precious, and therefore we should learn about that, learn how to cultivate properly, and don't waste our time here. Or else we might end up as an animal in another life. Okay, so all right, so Tao is the most common or plain truth. The core of getting along with others is by speaking gently and resolving unsatisfactory settings or situations. In doing so, we will have great merits without intention. Yeah. So again, trying to resolve unsatisfactory situations. This is kind of something that we all have to learn to do, and learn how to do, because and one way is that we have to keep in mind is we should not stand, in having that perspective of right and wrong. We say, that person is wrong, and so we have to try to harmonize, right? Harmonize a situation so that basically, it's basically we treat everyone equally the same, and so we should not say, because I'm right, they're wrong. We should, again, if we take the perspective, be in their shoes. Okay, so try to look at things from other people's perspectives. Everyone's perspective is all relative in this life, in this world. So there is no absolute saying, I am absolutely right. Right? We can't say that. So that will lead to that then things being dissatisfactory. And not being resolved in a harmonious way. Okay, so Confucius said that. So that's all about the virtues and merits. Okay, so now we're in the next one, which is forbearance. Okay, forbearance, you can say, is also it includes includes like tolerance, patience, that kind of thing. All right. So Confucius said that he was established when he was 30 years old. It means that we shouldn't be moved or affected by anything around us when we are 30, despite all the defilements in this world. Yeah, well, people, I guess, those who are learning now, who are young, okay, who are not yet 30, yeah, maybe they have a chance. Those who, of us who kind of started a little bit late, we can't achieve this, but hopefully we achieve it at an older age. But not to be moved by the external stuff, right? So the environment, the things that are happening around, or even, like I said, the rights and wrongs, right? Not be affected by that so much, because that's then causes us to basically we won't be. Then we fall into that. Then it's our ego, our human nature that's kind of dealing with things, not our Buddha nature. Okay, so we should try to understand more of why we must learn and cultivate the Tao. Cultivation means to rectify or make corrections. This depends on how much effort we put into it. If we all have some bad habits and temperament, but some people just don't show it. Okay, so these people have a greater capacity, which is better. In the eyes of Buddha and saints, neither are good. Okay, if we keep suppressing them within, the bad energy is not resolved. So it will eventually burst out, harming ourselves and those around us. Yeah, so some people, they're able to kind of keep it inside, I guess, not necessarily, whether it's like anger, they may not show it, but inside they're angry. And so, but that's according to Buddha's, that it's like, it shouldn't be like that. I mean, we need to resolve it. We need to dissolve, this, whatever is causing us to be able to be angry, for example. So we have to, yeah. So basically, yeah, I mean, cultivation, the basic definition you can say is to, we have to rectify or correct, ourselves, our everything, whether it's our actions, our words, our thoughts, okay, our mindset, attitude, all that, right? Okay. The most famous disciple of Confucius, Yin Hui, okay, right, never vented his anger at anyone, who was not to blame. It is also worthy for us to learn how he never put the wrong thought into action, nor made the same mistake twice. Right, we should set a goal to be what we can be in the moment. Right, we can think of a Buddha that should put in the effort, that should put in the effort to learn from and to emulate. Oh, okay. So yeah, so I mean, we may have different, have an affinity towards certain Buddhas, so I mean, a lot of people maybe they feel like, they like, like Guanyin, for example, Buddha, so they feel like more affinity there. But no matter which Buddha you pick, that you want to learn from and follow, because each Buddha, you can say, might embody a certain aspect, particular aspect of cultivation where they're really, I don't want to say good at it, but they so like Guanyin, it's like Buddha of mercy, and that's very merciful. Not that other Buddhas are not merciful, but it's like maybe you can say that Guanyin, it kind of expressed that more or practice it more. Okay, and so, but anyways, we can do that. Try to emulate a Buddha or saint, and now, although we still may not be able to do things according to our true nature, we will perfect it with more practice, and in due course, our manner and bearing will be different or better. Okay, so again, yeah, we're not perfect, and so we're not always following our true nature. We still have maybe these biases and things like that, the attachments, and that are still affecting us. But again, practice, I guess, practice makes perfect, I guess. So the more we do, the proper things that we do, the more of those that we do, then gradually, we'll definitely get better at it, right? Cultivation requires forbearance, but if we do not have sufficient, forbearance, then we must continue working on it. We are constantly faced with trials given to us by God, so we must constantly learn in order to understand God's intention. Okay, so yeah, so we need to have that patience and tolerance, I guess, to basically continue, because in life, of course, besides the other types of difficulties in life and then karma that we're dealing with, there will also be these tests and trials as we cultivate more. And these are to test us to see whether we can, kind of get to the next level, okay? Or, not necessarily, yeah, I mean, it could be in a specific area or aspect, okay, as well. So we have to have, this forbearance, be able to say, don't give up, all right? Don't give up. And always self-reflect to see how, maybe we keep encountering the same issue, the same difficulty, or the same trial. And if we face it or deal with it in the same way each time, and it's constantly coming back, then maybe we have to change the way we're dealing with it. Okay, that's my view, anyways. Is that if we're constantly dealing with the same thing, but we're always dealing with it in the same way, then maybe there is something wrong in the way we're dealing with it, and we have to kind of reflect on that and change how we're dealing with it to see if that will then maybe we can overcome that or resolve that. All right. Okay. Do not be affected by the outside environment, no matter the influence is big or small. We can learn something when we are not rushed or impatient in daily life. Right. If we can endure tribulation and confinement with perseverance, we can overcome any hardship. Okay, so during the process of cultivation, it doesn't matter if the ordeal is large or small. The tests are many or few. First, we must be stable and calm, then ponder and contemplate carefully before breaking it down and solving it. Okay, so again, we should definitely be patient. Don't rush into trying to, don't react. Don't, especially because reactions tend to be emotionally driven or driven by our ego or human nature. So we should remain calm, and think over it carefully. Sometimes we can't always rely on our thinking, our process, our analysis per se, because it may not be, the correct, one. All right. So, that's why calming our mind, right? So I'm not saying meditation, but just not, in this case, you can say, not thinking. Okay. Just use our wisdom. Okay. Let that wisdom, manifest and solve the problem. Okay. Right. Okay. So, hope my disciples are able to build good affinities with people and improve relationships with others. Turn the bad into the good. Okay, so when things are unfair, we have to be patient. Endure the storms and turbulent oceans. Winds will cease and waves will calm down. Remember this. Endure and you will be successful and achieve what is destined to be yours. Otherwise, everything will be gone with the winds. So, we have to put up, in essence, we have to put up with these things. Okay, put up with whatever comes. And really, it depends on our attitude, how we face these things. I mean, if we constantly saying, why is this keep happening? Why? And start, basically start complaining and blaming, then that is not, we won't, that's not the mind of equanimity. Okay, so, and we won't be able to solve the problem. Okay, so that thing, basically it could be like a test or a trial, and we'll never get past that, right? So, we have to definitely, like I said, patience is a part of it, of this forbearance, that we have to, be very patient, and endure. But then again, use our wisdom. Don't say, oh, this is the way I deal with it, and that's it. But we have to think about, if this thing keeps happening, then maybe I do have to change the way I deal with it. All right. So, examine ourselves carefully, inspect the cause, of our shortcomings, whether we are in prosperity or adversity. Are we irritable? Are we impatient? Can we bear hardship? Can we resist temptation? Can we take rejection? Can we stand pressure? All right. When we are determined to change our bad qualities, we should be firm like mountains. Be virtuous like water. Have a great heart like saints and sages. Be pure and tranquil like the moon. Warm like the spring sun, and be as affectionate as the tender wind. Okay, so we have to, we have some shortcomings. I mean, we all do, and we have to deal with that, and we have to recognize it and kind of face it, admit to those shortcomings, and try to work on getting rid of them, okay, or correcting them, or improving ourselves in those areas. And so a lot of these things, pressure, some people, they just can't take the pressure, or again, pressure is not good to bottle up within ourselves. that can lead to health problems, even mental problems. Okay, so we have to be careful there too, but to know how to dissolve the pressure. Okay, so even though there is a lot of pressure, we don't view it as such. Okay, we don't. A lot of the pressure is really it's all mental that we create for ourselves, so we have to recognize that, and so it's really, we can determine whether there's really pressure or not. Okay, so and it's be virtuous like water. So water has certain virtues. I mean, this is kind of like we personify or anthropomorphize water, right, to have certain characteristics like humans. Okay, so it's very accommodating and very tolerating, right? You can do all sorts of things to water, and it doesn't. Obviously it doesn't do anything, but it is equal and impartial. So like the rain or the ocean, it doesn't care where or what. It'll do what it needs to do. It can resolve and reconcile things, and so it's like water can like dissolve things and kind of is in that way kind of assimilate, or not assimilate, but basically kind of get I guess dissolving would be the better, but make things kind of more kind of resolve things that way, or reconcile things that way. Okay, so it's very flexible, of course. It can soften. Okay, it permeates everything, right? It can permeate things. It's pure. Even though there may be the water might be contaminated, but the water itself, the nature of water, it does not change. So that's very important. It's like we as humans, we are in this world, we are defiled, but we let that, because we are defiled, then we no longer, we say kind of we lose our purity. We don't behave, we aren't following our true nature anymore. Okay, but the water is still, despite having all that, trash or whatever in the water, it still behaves like water. Okay, its true nature. It's bright. Not sure bright, but okay. So, but adaptable, right? Okay, so that's like flexible. Okay, humble. Always going to the lowest point. Okay, it's tenacious, tenacity. So the water, the rivers that carve out like the Grand Canyon or whatever. It's been over millions of years. They keep doing that. And it has courage so these and it can benefit and nourish life, of course. So anyways, there is a lot to learn from water if we look at it this way, in terms of like virtues. Okay, all right. So taste the bitterest of the bitter to be the best of the best. Okay, so why do people not like bitterness? Those who refuse bitterness will lack good fortune. Sweetness begins only at the end of bitterness. By enduring, with endurance, we will become a bodhisattva. Okay, it is easy to be a bodhisattva. Just perform our human roles well. Because humans are so willful, humans always care only about themselves and do not care about others. All have their own shortcomings and temperaments. When things do not go the way we wish, rages flare up too easily. The greater the rage, the more damage to the liver. All right, when the liver is damaged, other illnesses will follow. We must be aware of this. Okay, so anger, right, rage, it damages the liver. So those who get angry easily, got to be careful. The liver is detoxifies our body, and so if that's not functioning well, then we have these toxins in our body which it can't deal with. All right, so so this enduring. Okay, so in order to become a bodhisattva, it's not going to happen like overnight. We have to endure, keep at it until the end, at least the end of this life. If not, if we don't accomplish it in this life, then we have to continue in the next life. Okay, so that's the endurance. So there is, but it's like there's light at the end of the tunnel, or there's the fruit at the end. Okay, so initially all that hard work, the bitterness. Right? If we're not willing to do that, some people say, oh, cultivation, it's difficult. Why would you want to do that? You give up all the good stuff in life, enjoyment, pleasure, for what? For something that you don't even know you're going to achieve at the end. Well, those who, seek, so that with that mindset, they will never achieve, becoming someone like a Buddha, a Bodhisattva. Okay, so we have to recognize that with hard work, we will achieve, the end result will be sweet, becoming a Bodhisattva, transcending life and death. What could be better than that? Rather than pursuing the things in this material world and, coming back in the next life and still trying to pursue these things, and maybe not even being in lack of these things and living, in a very survival mode, so that's the danger of pursuing that route. Okay, and it's constant suffering. Okay, so all right. So in the beginning of the cultivation process, we must work zealously. Be positive and patient while we are encountering hardships. With endurance, we are a promising candidate to reach sainthood. Again, so again, always be positive, right? Think positive. Again, the achievement. We normally look at the external side of achievement and say, oh, he did all this to achieve this, to achieve that result. But most of it is mental, actually, that we don't see. Okay. So that is really how we can achieve, is having that right mental attitude. Okay. A righteous man would rather shed his blood than tears. If we want to know what bitterness is, we need to experience it. Okay. So once we have experienced it, it's all over. We already have forgotten what it tastes like, because we are out of the tunnel of tribulation and feel boundless as the ocean and sky. Why should we carry these burdens with us? Right. So, so we have to just kind of get over with it. A lot of people, they don't want to deal with it. They want to they keep putting it off. But just face it. Let's just face it, deal with it, and then once it's over, that's it. Then we're scot-free, basically. We're free. And we don't have to worry about that anymore. So that's kind of the attitude that we should take. Okay. So fulfill the heavenly way in adversity, right? When we face unwished for and tough situations, we need to remember we are a practitioner of Tao. We have to fight and break through these adversities and difficult situations. Don't allow ourselves to go with the flow and drift with the currents. Hang on and tread through these hardships, even if they are really painful for us. endure what others can't endure, and we will certainly achieve, our accomplishment. Okay, so if we retreat when encountering difficulties, we won't reach the summit of our lives. So we can never achieve our best, okay, if we retreat or back off whenever we encounter difficulties and we don't want to face it. So yeah, the heavenly way, the way of Tao, the way of achieving what Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have achieved is through adversity. We have to, every saint, sage, Buddha, Bodhisattva, I mean, they all gone through that adversity to achieve what they, to become what they are. And so it's no different for us. I mean, for us to achieve, we have to do the same thing. Okay. So yeah, don't go with the flow with what most people are doing. That's sometimes that could be taking the easy way, trying to take the easy way out, which is not going to end up in having achievement. All right. Okay. So when people scold us, we are not angry. When they show us unpleasant faces, we treat them as usual. Then we have attained the level of maturity. However, if we are making mistakes, we must be able to read people's expressions so that we can act properly. To act properly means that we have reached a certain level of maturity too. So, yeah, again, this is not letting how people feel, or react to us to affect us, although we have to make sure that, yeah, we understand, what they might be kind of telling us something, maybe not verbally, but through their expression, that, oh, maybe, there's, we're doing something wrong or improper, and that we need to correct ourselves. Okay. When we can accept adversity peacefully, we have the superior quality of endurance. Being able to take temporary setbacks generates no worries. Giving way to others makes us boundless. Yeah. So, again, the setbacks are, that's pretty much going to be a given that we will have setbacks. We are going to stumble and fall, but we have to pick ourselves up, learn from our experience, what happened, and try to improve. And the next time, maybe again, this is, so we have to adapt. We have to adapt, each time that we fall or, we have these setbacks, we have to adapt and make sure that we're not doing the same thing all the time. If we're always dealing with the same way again, maybe we're always going to have these setbacks. So again, we have to adjust, and adapt ourselves to the situation. Okay. In Tao learning, be even-tempered, peaceful, and composed. This can be practiced by cultivating our mind and true nature. Rectify the secular mind. Eliminate bad temper and bad habits, and nurture the true nature. Strengthen our confidence among people and in doing things. No matter what trials and setbacks we encounter, do not complain or argue. When there is an argument, it will become a matter of right or wrong. When people are arguing what's right, who's right, who's wrong, they go to extremes. Then the principles of the golden mean are not followed. Yeah. So again, don't fall into that right and wrong, duality. Again, that there's like usually, some people will, again, when they're saying going to extremes, then people harden their position and there's no way for them to understand the other side. So we have to avoid that. Okay. What is the real meaning of being strong? It means being able to conquer the foes, just talk about the internal foes of our three poisons: greed, anger, ignorance, in our own mind, right? To be meek and humble, right? Do what others can't do, endure what other people can't endure. Then our cultivation and practice of Tao will improve. Yeah, certainly. We'll be, you can say, we'll rise above the others, right? If we can do the things that others can't do or are unwilling to do, then we will rise up above. We are just like a rubber ball sometimes, a ball with elasticity. Apply force and it bounces high. Therefore, when we are forced by others, there is no need to resist, right? Transform the pressure into a helping force. Wouldn't that be much better, right? So it's like, it's using, right? We can say, if there is pressure, I mean, most people think of it as pressure on us, but transform that pressure into something that helps us achieve or overcome. Okay, so that's obviously the better way to deal with it, right? So most people would probably view it as, oh man, they're giving me so much pressure. But we need to change that so that it's actually a helping force that helps us to overcome that. And, you know, we no longer view it as pressure. And then we can achieve more. Just like the ball that, you know, the harder you bounce it, right? That's the greater the pressure, the higher it bounces. Okay, so it's that same analogy. Besides learning proprieties in the temple, okay, so now we're on to, okay, so this is the last one. Oh, good. All right, so besides learning proprieties in the temple, we have to learn the principles to achieve the truth. After learning and practicing the proprieties, we have to realize how to achieve the formless and motiveless truth by means of the proprieties of form, right? So the truth is formless, right? Our true nature, those principles have no form, but we have to, so that's what the proprieties are, putting those formless things into putting a form to them. Okay, let's put it that way. And so that's why the proprieties are also important. I mean, it's you can say it's then becomes the external aspect of that internal formlessness. Okay. All right. The more that people do not follow the rules, the more rules there will be, right? If you look at society, that's the way it is, isn't it? I mean, if you know, something new, there's a new situation that happens, and then they didn't have that law before that covers it. And then pretty soon after, you're going to have a law that covers that situation, right? So they have laws and rules. Okay. So every family and country has their rules. When we are in the temple, we also must follow the rules of the temple. There are different rules for different circumstances, and we must adjust ourselves, to comply with the rules. Yeah. So, I mean, these rules aren't there just because, people decided that, you know, we need to have certain rules. Now, that could be the case because people aren't they aren't behaving as they should. And so that's what was mentioned here. But basically, ultimately, I mean, the most ideal is that, you know, there are no rules because everyone is behaving like a Buddha. Everyone is like a saint. And therefore, there's no need for these stated, you know, written rules, if you will. Okay. Because everyone will do the right thing, what's proper. Okay. But it's because we are humans still. We're not like saints and Buddhas yet that we need these rules. Okay. But yeah. And so maybe some temples, they have more rules. You know, maybe because, you know, I mean, the thing is, if we don't have enough rules sometimes, then there's too much of a lax atmosphere and people aren't really, then there's certain things that, you know, behaviors or whatever is going on in the temple may not be proper. And so actually we do need to have certain rules. And we all have to learn to follow, adapt ourselves to those rules. Okay. All right. So we are all born with an ego, and there are times we feel arrogant and think highly of ourselves, right? But the worst enemy of a cultivator is pride, right? Therefore, we must be humble. When others show us respect, then we have succeeded. Self-pride is not compatible with cultivation. Okay. So if we are proud and we think more than others, we think we know more than others, it is like singing out of tune. Okay. Tao cultivation cannot be out of tune. All right. So basically it's not in harmony. Okay. So we must abide by the precepts, disciplines, and rules and cultivate diligently. In other words, these rules apply to everyone. Okay. So we all have to, follow these rules, the precepts, disciplines, all that. Pride. Pride comes before a fall, right? So that's definitely one of the things we have to avoid. We should always be humble. Even though we think we know a lot, we don't know everything. Okay. All right. So when we kneel down and bow, we are showing respect to the true master, right? Our own soul, our own life, you say our own true nature, our Buddha nature. How do we write the Chinese character Ming, okay, which means life? It's these three characters together, okay, and the first one is on top, and then the second one, the one is in the middle, and then you have this one at the bottom. So Ren Yi Kou, okay, so which means person is making one bow. Right, when we are katoing, right, kato is the Chinese word we use for bowing. We are telling ourselves that we have to self-reflect. If we're too proud and arrogant, how can we perform introspection, right? Because we never reflect on ourselves. We always think, oh, I know everything. I point out other people's mistakes or other people's faults or what they don't know, right? There's no introspection or self-reflection there. If we are proud and always think that we are right, then there is no sense to do any kind of self-introspection, right? We think, hey, I'm always right. so that's no good, okay. Okay, this text might be a little bit smaller here, but okay, everybody has an innate true nature, the self-Buddha nature in one's heart. Therefore, when facing Buddhas, it's just like we're looking back at our own Buddha nature. When we make bows to Buddhas, it is the same as humbly facing ourselves and doing self-reflection. Right? When bowing with the hand seal, it's like we're setting an example to practice Tao in this secular world. We know how to be humble and modest. Bend our waist lower as if we don't want to knock our head on the brim of a low door, right? So it's like we have to duck under the door. But when we do the bowing, we should, lower our heads. Some people, they keep their heads too high, okay? So, then step with our left foot forward as if when we're taking care of business, we cannot rush things to be abrupt and impetuous. Right? Usually, like the right foot, right? We start off with the right foot, kind of like, but the left is like, we have to kind of take it not too fast, not too rushed. Okay, so it is like following Confucius' teaching of the golden mean, right? If we just put things into practice without thinking and planning, it certainly does not meet the principle of the golden mean. Right, we have to use, it says thinking and planning here. Yeah, I mean, obviously we do that, but, we use our wisdom too. However, if we keep thinking and planning without action, we won't make our dream come true either, right? So yeah, a lot of, planning, and maybe analysis, but then, in the end, we don't do anything. So then that's useless. So when we're interacting with people and doing business in this world, we should do it step by step and make our foundation firm, right? So, yeah. So again, don't rush in doing things. Use our wisdom, but definitely try to take everything that needs to be taken into consideration, right? And be in making any kind of decisions, things like that, right? Okay, so when we kato to the Buddhas, it's time to do our best self-reflection. As Zhenzi, right, a disciple of Confucius, said, I do self-reflect in 3 ways every day. Right? Practice self-reflections in 3 ways daily. Then we can become a saint. On the journey of learning and cultivating Tao, we should know how to adjust and calm our mind and make it peaceful. Learn to change the environment by changing the way we perceive things. Don't let our mind be affected and controlled by the circumstances. Okay, so again, a lot of times it's usually, how we're affected by the situation or circumstances is we kind of our emotions, okay, and our ego. Okay, so that's why, and then that causes then things, we start deviating from the true nature, how we should deal with things. So we should avoid that. Now, so here the 3 introspections is, have I been loyal and faithful in my duties and responsibilities? Have I been sincere and trustworthy to my friends? Have I practiced what I've learned? Okay, so these seem very basic, but I think a lot of times, like, maybe that last one, a lot of times we learn a lot, but we don't actually put it into practice, for one. Okay. I mean, some of these, we can, I think we do most of the time, perhaps. But, or even the first one, the loyal and faithful in my duties and responsibility. In other words, do we do things wholeheartedly or sincerely? I mean, sometimes we just do it because, I'm told to do it and I have to do it, and it's kind of reluctant. But we should, again, do things. So this, to me, means that not only we fulfill those duties and responsibilities, but we do it with the right attitude, that we have to do our best. Right? Sometimes you say, this is a little thing, I don't care, I just wash the dishes, I just kind of do it kind of superficially. No, I mean, then that's not, to me, it's not fulfilling is this. Okay, so basically we should always do our best in every little thing, even as minor little things that we do. Okay. All right, so stretch our muscles, relax the head and neck. So this is like when we're when we're doing the kato, right? Move our hands and head together. That's important. So some people that, their hand's not moving, or their head is not moving. They're moving the hands only. That's not right. It's actually moving together, the hand and head kind of moving as one, and you're kind of pivoting at the waist. Okay. Let the legs support the weight of our whole body. Right. So not like we're leaning on our hands. Okay. So we are kneeling down and making katos with our head, not just moving our hands only. Right. So that's why, So for the action of katoing, there are proper starting and ending gestures. The movements and gestures of starting and ending are consistent. Right. This is the spirit of Iguandao. Okay. So, Iguandao is the name. You can say it's like our practice. Okay. This practice that we talk about, this Dao practice. Okay. So when we kato, be sincere, because the purpose of kato is to nourish a heart of respect, humility, and modesty. Meanwhile, keeping a correct posture helps relax our muscles and improve the blood circulation for better health. Actually, if we do it with the proper breathing, there's this reverse breathing. I mean, we can talk about this some other time, since we're kind of like over time here. But yeah, we should be breathing in the reverse, doing the reverse breathing as well. Okay. So I think this might be the last one here. All right. So rules and proprieties are to help us improve and grow, which will mold us into a standard role model. Okay. So again, if we have to, don't think that, this rule doesn't apply to me, or this propriety doesn't apply to me. No, it applies to everyone. Okay. So, we all have to learn them and, perform them, in the proper way. When we are katoing, be sincere and use our own spiritual light to enlighten ourselves. Again, so it's katoing. Again, it's not bowing to, statues, or external Buddhas, really bowing to our own internal Buddha. So it's this self-reflection. And when we kato, hold an image of Buddha in our mind and imagine ourselves as him, then the kato rites will be more meaningful, right? So, all right. So, So basically, true cultivation encompasses all aspects of practice. So these, the 4 courses of cultivation, called moral character, virtues and merits, forbearance and propriety. And I kind of try to use an analogy, a real world, like the moral character is like the essence. Okay. So it's like a boat. Okay. We always use the metaphor of crossing the ocean, the bitter sea, right? And get to the shore of enlightenment. So it's kind of a boat. And then virtues and merits, it's the fuel that you need to power the boat. Okay. And forbearance is the training and the hard work that we have to prepare ourselves for this journey. And the propriety of the rules and the teamwork and how to, piloting or driving this boat towards the other shore. I don't know. But anyway, so these kind of like 4, the kind of 4 different, kind of aspects, I guess, of cultivation that is necessary for us to really, to achieve and to return to heaven and to transcend cycle of life and death. Okay. And then all other things like 6 paramitas, 8 Eightfold Noble Eightfold Paths. I mean, all these are different. They have like practices, and you can say that, they can kind of, they either overlap with this or there might be some additional things, but those are like certain specific applications, okay, of these things. All right. So, okay, so that's it. If I had said anything wrong or not satisfactorily, I asked the Buddhas and saints for forgiveness and also asked for corrections from transmitters and lecturers. Any questions?
This class is very important for the process of cultivation and propagation. I think it's a long journey for all of us. Especially the forgiveness. So it's hard. Sometimes we lose ourselves, especially in certain situations. So how do we maintain calm and stillness? Still, when we're facing a difficulty and challenge, how do we maintain that all the time? So we should remind ourselves. Yeah? Thank you.
Yeah, that's. I mean, to have that. Well, that's what the stillness and the calmness of the heart and mind, right? That's the key. It's not like, I mean, that we should always try to maintain the stillness and the calmness, meaning that it's unperturbed. So if the wind is blowing, the gale winds are blowing, it doesn't create waves in our heart and mind. Okay, so no matter what's going on, we are calm and still, and that is the only way. And when we have that wisdom to be able to deal with the situation, if we are disturbed or perturbed by these external things that are happening, then it's our emotions. Basically, like I was saying earlier, it's either our emotions, our ego. Now, those are the things that are being disturbed, and so then they are basically, you can say in charge. They become, they're the ones to become in charge of the situation, and there's no way to properly resolve or harmonize a situation when that happens. Okay.
There's one point that we talk about. 公司讲30的例 means when we are 30 years old, we need to build up very correct principles and views of the lives. Then when we are facing this complex world, we always have very correct insistence. So when people are chasing the material world, material stuff like fame, money, power, we are able to maintain. We will not get lost, but we will be able to maintain our pureness and goodness inside of our heart. So that's very critical in our life. So especially in this life, in this world right now. Yeah, thank you.